Whether you need tines for a hay rake or a gravel rake, or maybe you're draw boring some furniture or even doing some timber framing, you're going to need some dowels or pegs. And a way to do that out of green material is quite easy. Certainly quicker than whittling them. So, this is how I did it. Once you've decided on the species you want, cut the log off at the length that you want the pegs, and then divide it up into the size of the pegs you want in squares, just going slightly over size. Ideally you want a log with straight grain and without any knots in it, and we'll see later on that this isn't a very good one, and I'll explain the difficulties that I have with it. Here's a neat little trick. Tie a string around the log about a quarter of the way up, and that will stop all the pieces flying off as you cleave them. The wood is cleaved with a froe, which is an L-shaped edge tool. I batter it on the back with a beetle, which is basically a wooden club, and it splits the wood along the grain. On wider logs, take several light blows across the whole section before you give it a good whack. This should help to keep the cracks straight. So here we can see the problems you get if you have knots in the wood. So obviously where there's been a branch coming out, or a twig coming out at least, throws all the grain off, and so your cleaving tries to follow the grain, and obviously you end up with not square sections but all odd sorts of shapes. But we've got a few good ones out of this, and where there are any problems, just take a hatchet and bring it down closer to the square. And actually what you're looking for is something which is just fractionally larger than the size of the dowel that you want. So to turn these square blanks into dowels, we need to go and make a tool. I'm preparing a piece of flat bar with a hole slightly bigger than the size of the peg I want to make, and then I'm going to take a piece of steel pipe, grind a sharpened end on it, and then I'll cut it off about 4 inches long and attach it to the flat bar above the hole. The assembly is known as a die, and the pegs are delivered through it. If your welding's as bad as mine, you might do well to find somebody else to do it for you. The blanks are aligned with and then hammered through the die. To allow the pegs to exit, the die is normally mounted over a hole or an open mortise, but you can always improvise. Now use subsequent blanks to drive the peg all the way through without damaging the die. The better the blanks you get, the easier the process. I'll be using these pegs in a future green woodworking video, so make sure you subscribe to see that. Cheerio!